on locations throughout the world.
Standing passengers, please do not lean against the doors.
Picture goers, we bring to you new films of interest.
Chicago in State is next. Doors open on the left.
The miracle of the motion picture.
Please be considerate when talking on your phone or listening to electronic devices.
Chicago's a nice town if you're looking for pizza.
Welcome to 4 Stars, a Chicago film podcast. A podcast where we talk about movies set in Chicago.
Each episode, we'll be discussing a different movie that's set in or was filmed in the Chicago area, its cultural/historic relationship to Chicago, and whether it's a good representation of the city.
We want to figure out what makes Chicago movies different from movies about other cities, and to answer the question of what a Chicago movie is. And Paco, I can't think of something that is a Chicago movie more than a TV show.
Yes,
am I right?
Exactly. all TV shows are movies, but not all movies are
They're
TV
just
shows.
like really long movies.
Yes.
And this would be a pretty long movie.
Yes.
This would be a really good settle in at Gene Siskel.
Yeah, where you just watch the first season. That'd be pretty good.
I'm one of your hosts, general manager of the Heights Theater in Minneapolis, Jeremy Marder.
And I'm Paco Alvarez, a journalist based in Chicago.
And today we're talking about ER, baby. Doo-doo-doo.
ER, the medical TV show from 1994 to 2009. It fucking lasted forever.
That was a really great poll. If you were right on those years. 1994 to 2009, you're right.
Yes. But we are talking about season 1 of ER.
Season 1. Today we're talking about season 1 of ER, and we're not talking about the rest of the show. So if you are interested in following along, pause right now. It's on HBO Max.
It's also on Hulu.
It's also on Hulu. And this is a drama series chronicling the life at an ER in Chicago.
At Cook County General?
County General, yeah. It's a fake ER. It's not a real one. It's like a fictional one in the loop, right? Yeah. Anyway, it aired from September 19th, 1994 to May 18th, 1995. And we're talking about it today. Man, the show's good, Paco. I just was rewatching Blizzard and I'm jazzed. I
also just rewatched Blizzard. That's funny.
Yeah. That's the platonic ideal episode for me, but we will get to it. We're going to be talking about the entirety of season 1, so spoiler alert for anyone who is thinking about watching the show. But we're really going to zero in on a few episodes. Do you want to chronicle which episodes those are, Paco?
Yes. We will be talking about the pilot, which I believe is called 24 Hours, the episode Day 1, Blizzard, Love's Labor Lost, Motherhood, and Everything Old is New Again. A smattering of episodes across the series, a few from the beginning, a few from one from the middle, and a couple from the end.
Yeah, and if you're thinking, why'd you pick those episodes? Those aren't my favorite episodes. Shut the hell up. We picked these ones because we wanted to. I've decided in 2026 to be really hostile towards our audience.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's what you should do.
Yeah. Yep. I think the bitter cold of the North is turning my heart. But anyway, Paco, let's talk about what was going on in 1994.
Yes. So the pilot of ER aired on September 19th, 1994, which was a Wednesday. So it was kind of a bit harder to find news since it wasn't on the weekend. And usually, movies come out on Friday, so it's easier to figure out what was going on. But there was a big story that was on national news. It's kind of rough, so I don't want to talk about it too much just because it's really heartbreaking. But Jeremy, have you heard about Robert Sandifer, aka Yummy?
I've not heard of Yummy, no.
On September 19th, there was like this huge Time magazine cover story called Murder in Miniature, which is about Robert Sandifer, aka Yummy, who was an 11-year-old boy who murdered a girl, like a young girl, and then was murdered himself. And it kind of became like this huge national story that it kind of became like representative of a lot of like problems with inner cities and with Chicago specifically, kind of like the lack of a social safety net, underfunded public schools, gangs, the fact that like a lot of young people were in gangs. It kind of like became this thing. So Yummy was this boy who was he grew up with other siblings in a kind of abusive household, or allegedly abusive household. He lived with his grandmother for a long time. He was kind of in and out. He like got arrested a million times, and thought that he was as part of a gang initiation. He was supposed to like attack. He was supposed to like kill another gang member from another gang, and then he like shot into a crowd. He ended up killing 14-year-old Siobhan Dean. He went on the run, obviously, because he didn't want to get in trouble. Then it's supposed that members of his own gang thought that he was going to snitch on them, so then they ordered him killed. So it just became like this really huge story across everywhere. He was on the cover of Time magazine. It's the story itself is actually like it's written in such like a patronizing, like racist way, of like trying to I don't know. It just a lot of people in the story like blaming him and sort of being like, well, he was bad from the start and all this stuff. He just became representative of what people think about when they think about crime in the city. And then another reason, an interesting, interesting context for the story is that about a week prior, on September 13th, 1994, the 1994 crime bill was signed into law by Bill Clinton, the famous 1994 crime bill authored by Sleepy Joe Biden. I think it had some provisions about transferring kids to adult court if they committed like serious enough crimes. So it was definitely like, so I think like that was another aspect for why it became such a big story, because it was like they just signed this crime bill and suddenly you have like, okay, well, like if this kid had been in jail, maybe this hadn't happened.
This is an era where they're sort of Democrats are being accused of being soft on crime, so they're swinging hard in the other direction, and changing the trajectory of what this country's criminal system is, or would be for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
And you see it throughout the show we're going to be talking about today. There's a lot of discussion of gangs and gang violence. I wouldn't say it's the strongest part of the show.
There's so many. I think even in one day there's like a kid who tries to shoot someone. There's like a lot of like kids who end up who do shooting.
Yeah, it's topical. I can see this yummy story being something that inspired the writers of ER.
And so as a little bit of a palate cleanser to that depressing conversation, another story I found in the Chicago Tribune, its title is "He's Made Friends by the Dozens. Money is chicken feed, but eggs still home delivered." And it's about like one of the last egg delivery men in America, who was based out of Frankfort, Illinois. He was this 77-year-old named Emil Esch, who, had his little farm, and every morning he would wake up really early and go deliver some eggs.
Nice. I love this quote about him. He's American Gothic, a typical salt-of-the-earth farmer, self-reliant, hardworking, God-fearing.
Yeah.
In other words, a vanishing breed.
Yes. Yeah, egg delivery. I guess it makes sense.
Come get your eggs.
Yeah.
Straight to your door. They have those big wire holders.
Yeah.
And they come bring you your eggs. I not to paint Minneapolis like a tiny town, but like the delivery guys who've come, maybe it's the same in Chicago. I just didn't have to deal with the delivery guys as often. But the people who are coming and dropping off the stuff are the same people who've been doing it for 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they know the area and they know the routes, and they're telling you exactly when they'd be there, and they will be there at that time. It's pretty like I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine.
Mm-hmm.
And just like we look out and we take care of our own, and it feels very small town in that way. And maybe that's just Columbia Heights because I'm in a suburb north of the city. But
yeah, and also that's aspects of Chicago as well. Like there's like pockets where that happens.
Yeah,
enclaves.
It's very Midwest.
Yes, definitely. But I never thought about egg delivery like that. Obviously I know about bottled milk delivery. And I guess now we have egg delivery again with DoorDash. It's even worse. Another interesting headline, I didn't take notes on it really, but also in the Tribune, and it's The Real World Now a Hit. I think we should talk a bit about the impact of ER on television and what its importance. But I think it's just interesting to note that at the same time that ER was taking off, in the horizon, there loomed the shadow of reality television and this kind of new way of doing television that would sort of kind of overcome most of television now. I feel like it's reality TV.
Yeah. Non-scripted, they like to
Yes.
call it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would say like I could see there being like a cop style show set in an ER. I'm
think
sure they even tried that.
Yeah, I'm actually, that'd be interesting to look up. I feel like you can't do
They
that
legally do that, yeah,
because
yeah,
of
that's
HIPAA. Like I can't imagine it'd be. I guess like if
Well,
you,
you'd think you couldn't do that based on cops, but you can. But no, you're right. You're
I
right.
think there's just like
That's
different laws
medically-
about privacy when it comes
medical
to
stuff.
crimes. There is actually, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, Frederick Wiseman, the great Frederick Wiseman, has a really good early documentary called Hospital, set in a New York
Right.
hospital.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
sort of what you're talking about. I have no idea how he got.
We just need to
permission.
throw some like MTV style music on it, and
Yes.
we are cooking.
If anyone can edit Frederick Wiseman's
Robert Wiseman's. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm mixing Robert Wise and Frederick Wiseman. Yeah, and or we can just hire Frederick Wiseman, who is still alive,
Yes.
to do an MTV a show for us
Yes. That's
called E/R.
Yes. ER. All right. Let's talk about the show. ER.
Before we talk about that, Paco, have you ever been to the ER?
Not for myself. Just like I would take my dad sometimes when he had cancer, but I never went for myself.
For yourself, there was no reason that you'd ever go into the ER.
I don't think so. Have you?
I went in for when I had appendicitis. They took me in through the ER. Is that true? Now that I think about it, Carl Hospital. Maybe I just went into the hospital.
Well, usually, I mean, I feel like
No,
appendicitis.
I feel like I went to the ER.
because like
I went to the ER.
how do you like schedule that?
Yeah. I went to the ER because it was the middle of the night. Yeah, I was in so much
Just had an
pain.
appointment.
I crawled to my friend Allie's door and I was like, "Please, I'm dying." And she was like, "What the hell?" And it was like days after I had eaten a Wendy's 4x4 meal. And so I blame that. I blame Wendy's for my appendicitis. And I also blame Wendy's for the fact that my credit score is still not where it should be. Because for years, Carl Hospital in Champaign, Illinois was sending bills to an old apartment of mine,
Oh no.
and I wasn't receiving them. And then I would get all these calls from debt collectors, and they would be like, you are in this amount of debt. And I'd be like, yeah, likely story. And then I went to go get a credit card because I was always scared to get a credit card for whatever reason, because it's scary. And I like whenever I did like one of those credit checks online, it would say it was really low, like 500. And I'd be like, that, what do they know? And then I went in to go get a credit card and they denied me.
Damn.
And they were like, "Oh, it's because of all this medical debt from Carl Hospital. Do you live in this address?" And I was like, "I haven't lived in that address since, I don't know, my second year of college." So, thank you, Wendy's 4x4, for my years of debt. I've finally climbed out of it. Because medical debt only lasts.
Was
3
the
years.
was the house the one from what's that band? American Football.
The American Football House? No, Caitlyn lived in that house. I didn't live there, but
okay.
that was the same time that I lived in the at the house on Illinois Street that Caitlyn lived at.
That's funny.
Who we will hear later in the episode.
Yes.
Caitlyn Johnson will give her takes on ER.
ER.
What a pilot.
What a pilot. When did you first watch ER? I'm curious.
I think I watched episodes of ER throughout my life, but I had never watched the show in earnest until the last like few years. I still have never finished ER. It's a lot of seasons of television. I'm somewhere in the season 5 range. It's really good. I'm just slowly climbing the mountain. But I've watched this first season now 3 times.
That's funny.
and but I've seen episodes of ER. It was just on in the house, or I really, my interest in ER peaked when The Pit was coming out more recently. So my dad was a doctor, is a doctor, and had strong opinions on ER and other medicine shows, medicine shows. Wow. What's that show, like Medicine Woman?
Oh, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Yeah. My dad has a really strong he had strong opinions about medical shows and medical films. Just saying that they sensationalize things, they don't get it right, yada yada. So it was really a struggle to get him to watch The Pit, which he ended up liking. But when we turned on, it was, I think, on Christmas. We were trying to figure out what to watch, and I just turned on the pilot to ER, and he was really enjoying himself.
That's funny.
He fell asleep, but it was only because it was really late on Christmas.
Did he work at an ER?
Call that. This is either going to really pay off or be really disappointing.
Hi.
Hey, Dr. Marder, you're live on air. Did you ever work in an ER?
I've worked in an ER, yes, during my residency.
You worked in an ER during your residency. Was your experience equal to or comparable to the television show ER?
Without the drama, yes. I mean, there were a lot of activities that are similar. It happened. Those things happen, but not. It just seems more dramatic on TV.
Yeah, they put everything into one episode as opposed to it happening throughout the course of a year,
or maybe a week sometimes for some things, or a month. You do a rotation for a month, so I would see things over a month. Yeah, and things happened in a day, but not like 7 things or 10. It's the way that they are doing it. I mean, I'm not saying those things don't happen. They do. They have really, even today, the emergency rooms today are very busy, and the one in Pittsburgh is the basis for the show.
Yeah, The Pit. What years were you in ER? During your attendant years, you said?
Yeah, and during my
Residency.
residency, 1983 to 86.
And which ER was that?
Cook County Hospital.
Cook County Hospital.
Now it's Stroger Hospital. At the time, it was Cook County Hospital.
Was that when you treated the mayor?
No, that was at the city. That was after I left county.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for answering my questions.
Sure thing.
All right. Bye.
Good talking with you.
That paid out.
Yeah, that paid off.
What happened there was my dad was on duty when Harold Washington went into cardiac arrest and was one of the people who rushed out to help when he passed away. Anyway, that was not planned.
ER.
He's good at landing on his feet. He's kind of me like that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't text him or call him, and he had answers prepared. That was great. Anyway, ER. This show, the pilot episode, was written by Michael Crichton. No.
Yes. So it's. Do you want me to talk a bit about the making of ER?
Yeah. Talk about the development a little bit.
Yes. So Michael Crichton, famous author of Jurassic Park, director of Westworld, Future World. Is that the Westworld sequel? Future World. What's the other one? Andromeda Strain. Michael Crichton in the 70s. So Michael Crichton was a doctor, and in the 70s, while he was in med school, he worked at an ER in Boston. He paid his way through med school by writing novels, which is that's how many people read back then that you could do that. He wrote this pilot, or he wrote a screenplay. I think he wanted to make it a movie. And he just like kind of kept it around and kept like shopping it like through his years as he got more and more famous. And eventually Spielberg was gonna make it into a movie, like an ER movie.
Mm.
And then Michael Crichton was like, I actually have another idea about an island where there's dinosaurs. And then so Spielberg decided to make Jurassic Park instead. But a producer at Amblin thought that it would actually be better as a TV show. So they hired John Wells to rewrite the script and be the executive producer of the TV show. At that time in the early 90s, so one of the reasons why ER is so influential is that at that time in the early 90s, TV dramas weren't like that big of a thing. I think like when we think about like we, you know, when we were teenagers, we always talked, I feel like there's so much talk in the culture about like we were in the golden age of television, blah, 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 blah. And I think like what that meant was that like there were a lot of really good TV shows and there were a lot of really good like prestige drama TV shows. And like in the 90s, there weren't that many. Like HBO wasn't really a thing. The big show on HBO for a long time was the Larry Sanders Show, which is really awesome, but it was a comedy. A lot of like the big shows when you think about it in the early 90s are like more like sitcoms. And obviously there's like Twin Peaks is a huge thing that revolutionized TV and like how drama was made. And the X-Files.
But that was a flash in the pan. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was 1 year of it being popular, 1 year of it being hated, and then gone.
Yeah. And then there was X-Files, which was, I think, the year before ER.
Yeah, basically the same time. That's the beginning of the comeback of television.
Or, I mean, television was still really big, but it was like the comeback of the drama TV.
Of the drama TV show, yeah.
Yes. And so that's sort of where I think one of the things that ER revolutionized was sort of like making a serious TV show and sort of having like keeping in line with like the episodic nature of television, but they also, I think, the serialization that they introduce, the fact that there's all these plot lines that go over through episodes, I think that was also very really important. And the other really important thing was sort of like the fact that I think other medical TV shows kind of focused on like one case per episode and maybe some like B plot lines, and like ER, every episode is like a million, like your dad was describing, it's like a million different cases. Like they're constantly moving back and forth. And just like in terms of like the actual form of the show, it's something that like, I think like I'd always thought of ER, like I never watched it as a kid. I didn't watch it until The Pitt came out. But in my mind, ER was like the John Stamos version. So kind of like soap opera-y, like kind of like cheesy ER. Like that's what.
So explain what you mean by that. The John Stamos version.
So in the later seasons of ER, I think it becomes really about like the celebrity actors and celebrity guest stars.
Yeah, the guest stars and.
And John Stamos is, I think he's the main doctor for a while in the last few seasons.
Yeah, the last couple seasons.
And so I feel like I always saw the commercials for ER and it was like, oh, it's a show with like John Stamos as a doctor. And so I just thought of it as sort of like,
corny.
I paired it with like Grey's Anatomy, sort of like the like Scrubs, which those shows, like watching ER made me realize like I loved Scrubs as a kid, and like so much of Scrubs is just like taking from ER. It's like kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's the comedy version.
Yeah.
Although, Scrubs gets really maudlin.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like this show has a better handle on the tone for season one. Although there's some times where they dip into maudlin.
Yes.
I mean, the show that I think this is based off of is MASH in a lot of ways. Of these different, characters who are interweaving into each other's lives. It has comedy. It has drama. It's funny at times. It's about these characters and their lives. It's not really about just the location. I mean, MASH will, do that. I'm not like a MASH expert by any means, but like episodes. I'm not. I don't mash up. I do feel though like that show would go, and like all of a sudden it would become like the most serious show in the world. Like it's war,
Yeah.
And that was the biggest show on the planet when it was out.
Yeah.
And then I do think that like that 80s period, what are like the big shows of the 80s? I like drama shows of the 80s. I actually
there's Dynasty.
yeah, that's more soap opera, right?
I think that's kind of what I think one of the, to talk about another TV show, but I think one of the ways that Twin Peaks was so revolutionary was that it essentially took the soap opera format and made it like highbrow,
Right.
And I think that led the way into kind of the X-Files ER sort of
Like just
territory.
doing a just like looking it up. Miami Vice, Matlock, Murder She Wrote, Hill Street Blues.
Hill Street Blues is also a big show in terms of like storylines, like sort of
intersecting.
But for a long time, drama TV show, all TV show was like episodic in nature. Miami Vice, I think it's very rare that they have a lot of two-parters, but I don't think they have a lot of like continuous.
And that's a very different style of show. That like buddy, but it does have like the guest stars.
Yeah.
And there's certain things about it that I think influenced ER for sure. We are going to take this time to say that Paco and I love movies and are not TV experts.
Yeah.
But the TV show that came after this that this reminds me of the most, which is kind of embarrassing for me, but it unfortunately is the show that I think of. Do you know what show I'm about to say, Paco?
I have no idea.
It stars one of the guest stars of one of the episodes we're going to talk about today. Love, Labor's Lost.
I have no idea.
The West Wing.
Oh, yeah.
The way that the camera moves through the space, the way that these characters are, working in an environment that is high stress, maintaining composure about their lives, about their relationships, but it's really about the good of the hospital, the good of the nation. You know what I mean? This idealistic view of our systems. I think that ER did have a profound impact on the creation of West Wing. West Wing became its own thing, but that's, I don't know, at least like the shiny cinematography in season 1, like those bright pools of light. I was thinking a lot about Spielberg when I was watching this one, and it's so interesting that he was going to make the movie because the way the camera moves and those big massive pools of light, that Janusz Kaminski style, it's interesting.
Yeah, and all the Steadicam. It's like, imagine if a TV show looked like this now. People would go insane. There would be riots.
I would love to watch this pilot on a big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would be so fun to watch on a 35mm print.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I wonder if it's out there.
Or Blizzard?
Yeah. I'd probably not.
Probably not. Some pilots traveled.
Okay.
Some TV movies and pilots were because in Europe they don't have the same streaming. So, there are some prints of these pilots, but so rarely the other episodes. They're just not doing that. TV movies sometimes, because I don't know.
Well, especially when TV was actually filmed on film. Something I read this book called Behind the Scenes at ER by Janine Poroy, and something I thought was interesting was that she mentions that so they filmed the show on 35, but it was edited digitally. Like, they would scan it and edit it all digitally, which I guess I just didn't realize they were doing it that early on. The digital editing software started to come around during the late 80s, early 90s. And speaking of Spielberg, he would apparently throughout the first season give notes on scripts.
Nice. That's
really,
why it rocks.
Yeah, that's why it's so good.
We're pro Spielberg here.
Yes.
I just had a conversation with someone who was very anti Spielberg, so I'm feeling a little fire in my breath.
My top director according to Letterboxd last year was Spielberg, and I had 2 people dunk on me for that, and it's like,
sorry, I watched good movies.
Yeah. Sorry, I had fun.
Yeah. Unless you watched Amistad.
I did not.
Which is the movie he's making right around this time, no?
No, because this came out in 94. Oh, is that from 95 or 97?
Yeah, right.
I think it's 97 because didn't he do it with Lost World? He was trying to like do a repeat.
Oh, right. He was opening up a studio during this time.
Yes.
Because it was after Schindler's and Jurassic that he did that. And now a conversation with Meara Brady about ER.
Question 1, how did you first get into ER? I was a late adopter for sure. I mean, the show premiered 31 years ago now because it was 1994. It was January of last year. Obviously, there was a presidential inauguration that I wanted to avoid like the plague. I didn't want to be on social media. I didn't want to watch TV. I didn't want to be anywhere near hearing about this. And I had a friend who asked me if I had heard of this show called The Pit. And I was like, yes, I saw the advertisements for it, but I haven't watched it. And I thought, oh, this is a good distraction from said inauguration. And there were 3 episodes that had aired at that time. And I watched all 3 and was hooked. And my friend who had seen all of ER several times told me, if you love The Pit, you'll love ER. And I had been looking for something else to consume me, body and soul. And I started ER last February. And I think the first day I watched at least half of the first season. And these are network television seasons, so they were 22, 23 episodes long. I housed that first season, and I was hooked. I think I've rewatched the show. I've only watched it all the way through 15 seasons once, because there's definitely a point where the quality really drops off. And I would say that's like season 11. And I mean, 10 is tough. Yeah, it becomes tough once the OG cast leaves. Anyway, long story long, I've rewatched it several times since then, and it has quickly become, I think, my favorite show of all time. It oftentimes takes a television season, a couple of episodes, maybe even a season, maybe 2 seasons, to get the rhythm and get the sense and pace and sensibilities of the show. And within 20 minutes of the pilot, you're like, oh yeah, we've all been here the entire time. Like, that's Jerry, that's Doug Ross, that's Peter Benton, that's Susan Lewis. They're all my friends are here. They're here. Yes, I'm immediately in. I know all the drama. I know everything I need to know. You're in it with them. And to do that right off the bat with a show that really doesn't hold your hand, it just kind of is like, yep, here we go. Here's a person who got hit by a car, and you're watching them get operated on and clothes getting cut off, and you're like, by the end of the 5th episode of ER, you're like, well, I don't think that Mark would make that decision. Or, oh, I think that Peter was too hard on Carter for this. And you're like, the fact that you can sort of confidently speak to the way that these people would react in these situations is remarkable. It is a deftness and a skill that is sort of lost with today's disrespect of having a writer's room. And this is how you cut your teeth in good story writing. And it's sort of missing now, but you having an immediate sense of who these characters were and falling in love with them, flaws and all, and being like, yeah, I would love to see what's going to happen with Mark's marriage, is an enormous, first of all, trust on the audience's part. And also, it's just really good storytelling. They really knocked it out of the park, immediately. They found their footing like they had done it for years. It was incredible. I think the interesting part of season 1, the first, 15 episodes, you get a complete arc of Dev Svetic, or however you say his name, the guy who plays Jack's father on Lost. He plays someone who works in psych, and he's dating Susan Lewis. And you see him, again, in the span of several episodes, a man who is very much struggling with his own mental health, burnout, disillusionment, self-doubt, irritation, all these things that indicate a man who is on the precipice of something that is not good. And Susan starts to see it because he starts to get really agitated and is making professional mistakes that he shouldn't be making. And he's combative with other staff. And you can tell because we do have, I think, more words for burnout in 2026 than perhaps we had in 1994. It was less talked about. And eventually you see him, I think, in the road in the rain on like the random street, like on Michigan Avenue or something, halfway through the season. And he just disappears entirely. You hear about him allegedly later on in the series because there's a cab driver who comes in who is, I don't know, injured in some way. And he's talking to Carter and is like showing him this book that he has of like romantic connections he's made by hooking up different passengers that have taken his cab at places. And he's like, he's like, I know that guy. That's Deb Svetic. And we never knew what happened to him. And it turns out that he just like started a new life with and like married someone else. Anyway, long story long, the show immediately tackles physician burnout and empathy burnout. And I think that's very important to show early on that these people are heroes in a lot of ways, but they are also deeply, deeply, deeply underpaid, undervalued, overworked to, the point of exhaustion. I'm still not clear why there still needs to be 12 plus hour shifts for medical professionals. Someone smarter than me can make that argument. But that was such an important point very clearly early on with ER. And it is something that is also talked about in The Pit and a lot of, medical shows. But I think he really sticks out for me because it was so clear that he was just kind of disintegrating before our eyes. Question 4, which characters or arcs stand out in season 1? Oh gosh, part of me thinks it's Carol because something happens to her at the end of the pilot and it's bad. I don't know if we're spoiling or not. You can cut this out, but she attempts suicide. And basically she was supposed to be, just killed off after the pilot, and she tested so well that they brought her back. And I think it's really interesting to watch Carol claw her way back to normalcy for her. I think that Carol can be prickly and judgmental and kind of an asshole sometimes, but she's really good at her job. And she is really trying to do her best to move past the attempt, to move past the trauma of that. She's dating a man that she loves in whatever way that she can, in whatever capacity she is allowing herself to. It's also hard because, obviously there's the Doug Ross of it all. I think that they are both still hung up on each other, but I think that Carol smartly recognizes that Doug is a mess. And Doug is, a carouser. He's a womanizer. He's, he doesn't take anything too seriously. And I think that Carol matured past him, but I think that there is still love there. There's a real sense of like, there's a journey here, and it plants the seeds in season 1. And she's doing her best. And I think she's a really tough lady. And she wants to choose love, wants to choose life. And she does, and she chooses that. And she's really good at her job, and she loves it. And so she's choosing every single day to show up for herself. And I think that is such a cool arc. Question 5, what is your favorite Chicago moment, or what about the show feels most like Chicago to you? I think it's in the second or third episode of the first season. The helicopter, the wide shot of the helicopter against the Chicago skyline. The helicopter, I think it's either at sunset or it's very pretty, or maybe it's overcast. I can't remember. this helicopter kind of comes in from the top of the frame and just very kind of swoops to the left side of the screen, and then it lands like a bird. And it's just the grand sweeping nature of it, and the sort of uh, visual identity that Mimi Leader was giving to ER. And you think this is so, it must have been so novel at the time to have this show that, was a medical drama, but it had this language, this visual language, at a time where I think a lot of stuff was still very rote, very episodic, very genre focused. And I think that to sort of not wax poetically about the cinematic stuff, it just made Chicago look so beautiful, and it really set the tone for the kind of place that they were in, and that there's a real magic to the city, and it's unlike anywhere else. And so, of course, you have County, which is unlike anywhere else, and it's in, Chicago, which is the best city in the world.
Paco, let's talk about the pilot a little bit.
Yes, the pilot, directed by
it is the the director of Stitches.
Ron Holcomb.
Yeah, Ron Holcomb.
The great Ron Holcomb, who directed the ER pilot and the ER finale, and I don't know if he directed
one other episode.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And Stitches.
Yeah, we looked up this director, and he directed a like a sex comedy.
Yes.
That is from the 80s, that is set in an ER.
Yeah.
And it's about guys messing with people in an ER. And I was pretty tickled by that. 24 Hours is, it takes place in it throws us right in there with one of my favorite openings of Dr. Green, Dr. Mark Green, played by Anthony Edwards, the other Anthony Edwards, who is trying to take a nap in one of the spare rooms. And it's going in and out as people are coming in to ask him questions. And it's like he's blinking and it's hours later. It's quite funny. It's how the episode begins and ends. I love that opening, Paco, don't you?
Yes, it's great. And he's woken up because they have a patient at the ER, and the patient is Dr. Doug Ross, pediatrics resident, played by the great George Clooney, who was the first person hired to do the show.
Who plays the charming fool on this show?
Yes, in a way. I mean, he's pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has to be smart in an ER.
Yeah,
but he's pretty dumb too.
He's definitely the guy who has the most obvious problems.
Yeah.
And like they're most willing to show all his flaws. As opposed to like Mark, who is the chief resident. He's sort of like the goody two shoes, like the golden boy. And obviously that as the season goes on, that is slowly
eroded,
but that's initially their dynamic is sort of not competitive, but like just different vibes.
Yeah, and there's different scenes throughout the season of them playing basketball together. That's a motif that comes back. Their relationship is one of the core ones. And Doug Ross, who's George Clooney, is super drunk, and they bring him in and they're treating him, and then they have to treat a patient, and he sort of snaps to and starts helping.
Yeah, it's really good.
Dr. Lewis is the other resident, Susan Lewis. Yep, played by Sherry Stringfield.
Yes.
She is my low-key MVP, like not the person you think about with the show. She's so charming, effortless in the show. I think she is really, really good in this first season. Her relationship with the show goes in and out.
Yeah.
She definitely had a rocky relationship with it. A rocky relationship with fame too, just a desire to be in the spotlight, which I respect. But she's fantastic.
You mean out
in
of
the show.
spotlight or in the spotlight?
Being in the spotlight.
Okay.
She didn't particularly like being in the spotlight.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Yeah. And then the other characters in the pilot, Carol Hathaway,
Yes.
played by Juliana Margulies. She plays the head nurse, right, who is in charge and seems totally fine and normal, and goes home and attempts suicide.
Yes. It's suggested in the first episode, and then kind of over the season, it's made more obvious. And one of the central tensions of the season is that her and Doug had a past relationship, and they seem to still be in love with each other. This is a good time to mention that in the original pilot, written by Michael Crichton, Carol dies at the end.
Yeah.
She was not supposed to be on the show, but then everyone loved Juliana so much that they were like, we got to keep her.
Reminds me of something from another show that I can't stop talking about. A show that a lot of the actors on this show ended up going on, which is Lost.
Mm-hmm.
The original episode of Lost, the doctor, Jack, was supposed to be the main character of the pilot and was supposed to die at the very end of the pilot. And he was supposed to be played by, do you know who he was supposed to be played by?
One of these guys. Was it Noah Wyle?
Michael Keaton.
Oh, Michael Keaton. That's crazy.
Michael Keaton. It was supposed to be Keaton. And then he pulled out, and then they casted, who plays Jack? Racer X.
Oh, fuck.
You know.
Yeah. You should know his name. You're the one. You're the Lost
my
head.
God. Matthew Fox.
Yeah,
I didn't even
Matthew
have to look it
Fox.
up. I didn't have to look it up. My hands are up. It came to me. And they decided they liked him so much. I don't know why. They liked him so much that he was going to remain on the show.
Do you think
he's excellent?
Do you think that like once Keaton dropped out, they're like, oh, we have all this money. Like maybe we can just keep him on, you know?
Yeah, I don't think money was an issue for them. They were like dead set on spending the most amount of money for
that's
any
fair.
pilot
That's
ever.
I mean,
but anyway,
that's one of the beautiful things about like how television used to work, and I think like how it's starting to sort of work again is just like the fact that like people wouldn't go into things with plans, or like the plans could change. You'd film one
Yeah.
episode at a time. You'd put one step in front of another, and
you
like,
don't need an overall master plan.
Yeah,
You deal with the pieces that you have. Because I do think that like as the show got bigger throughout season 1, they ramped up their plans for it. The other characters in the pilot episode, Dr. Peter Benton. He is played by Eric LaSalle. He is a risk-taking doctor. He is a know-it-all.
he's a surgical resident.
A surgical resident. Yeah, he is a little bit brazen. He's a little bit rude, I would say. Terse to the other people, but is an excellent doctor. And his main sort of struggle that first episode is that he does a procedure that he is not qualified for, and does it succeeds in doing it until the attending surgeon could come in, played by
William H. Macy.
William H. Macy, who's fantastic in the first couple episodes.
Yes.
I would say then the character who Benton most interacts with is John Carter, played by Noah Wyle, who is a medical student. And the episode is him. The first episode is him sort of going in and out of his first rotation. And he is incredibly funny, doing pratfalls, doing fresh-faced, dewy-eyed, routine. And I think he is kind of the glue of ER, in my opinion.
Yes, he's sort of, I think that people see him as, because Michael Crichton wrote the show while he was in med school, like the original screenplay. I think he's sort of seen as kind of like the surrogate for, the author of the show, Like, and I mean, I think it makes sense because it's like you learn so much about how the ER works through his eyes, and it's similar in The Pit, which is Noah Wiley's more recent show.
Yeah.
So much about like how the audience gets to know the environment and what's going on and understand like how things work is through the medical students.
Yeah.
They also have this other. Did you remember that there was another medical student in the pilot?
No.
Tracy Young. She like Doug gets a medical student, and then like
Oh.
she's like super confident, but like I think ends up being wrong. And then I don't think we ever see her again.
Oh, I'm sorry. That sucks for her.
Yeah, that was just something I noticed when I was rewatching it. I was like, "Who's this woman?"
They were like, yeah, that happens sometimes where they're like, they're going to be a main part of the series, and then they just fall off.
Yes.
So John Carter, played by Noah Wiley. I would say that Noah Wiley is now back in everyone's minds because of The Pit. The Pit is a show not based off of ER.
Yes.
Famously. The Pit was most, I'm not going to say most likely, but reportedly or there's discussion about it, whether or not The Pit was developed as an ER follow-up, that they decided not to, and the Michael Crichton estate was very not happy with that, and has taken them to court. But Noah Wiley has really championed this format of television and has looked into the landscape and has very correctly been like, we need this. This is like, this is a missing piece of our lives. Like we don't have this on television anymore. And I think that's very much so been the reaction of people who have been watching The Pit.
Yeah, definitely. I do think they're pretty. I think the difference is that I think with The Pit, Noah Wiley has more of a kind of didactic angle. Like I think he wants people to learn about how important it is to have doctors and like to respect them. And I think I love The Pit. It's really fun to watch. Watching ER made me realize how the ER is not really concerned with that as much. Like they're concerned with accuracy, but they're willing to show rough edges. Like they're willing to like really like the characters are a lot more flawed. I think part of it is just like I love the format of The Pit, which is each hour is real time an hour.
It's 24 times ER, yeah.
Yes. Which I watched a lot of 24 as a teenager, so I respect that format. But I do think it stifles character development to a certain extent. And one of the things I like about ER is that you really learn about the characters. You get to see them chill, which I think is like a huge issue with television now, is that there's no chilling anymore.
Yeah.
Like so much of what makes good television is when people are just like hanging out by themselves. Yeah, or like hanging out with each other, not having problems.
So I'm going to just suggest that we just talk about Blizzard now.
Okay.
Like I think, we've set up our main cast. They struggle in with the ER over the course of the first 10 episodes. We're getting to know them, like you're saying, Paco.
Yeah.
There's ups and there's downs. But the reason why I want to talk about Blizzard is because it has everything that you're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
It has enough time because of the 25 episode arc. I wanted to talk about Mimi Leader, which is why I wanted to talk about Date One. But she also directed
Love's Labor Lost. She might have directed
Blizzard.
Okay,
she did direct Blizzard.
Yes, the great Mimi Leader.
I think she's like the real directing force behind the show.
Yes.
Like whenever it's like a really good episode, you see her name on it.
Yeah.
And she went on to direct that not Armageddon. What was it called? Impact. Something.
Oh,
Impact? Deep Impact.
She directed this.
She directed a lot of things. I really like her as a TV director.
Yes.
Less into her movie career, but
that is forward.
It's kind of the what they do with women directors, where it's like they will give you one chance, and if you don't, if you're not like, I don't know, the daughter of a famous director, in that era, it was hard to get another movie financed.
Yeah.
So Mimi Leader did her best, but I do think that like her ER episodes are some of the best directed television.
Yes.
And Blizzard takes place over the first snow in Chicago. We are a Chicago movie podcast, Paco.
Yes.
The first snow in Chicago, and because it is so snowed in, there is nothing going on at the ER. No one is being brought in. So the first really 20 minutes of the episode, I clocked it. It's 18 minutes of the episode. Are we're getting to just like get character development of everyone hanging out and chilling and pulling pranks. They like Noah Wiley's character John Carter is sleeping in that same room that we find Mark Green in the opening.
Yes.
And they're like both Mark Green and Dr. Lewis are putting on a cast on John Carter. And the other characters are having snowball fights. They're like rollerblading around. They're like putting up the Christmas decorations. It's just like the camera is wandering around the ER and we're getting to know these characters, and it's slow paced and human.
Yes.
And it's funny. It has a light tone. And then about midway through the episode, about 18 minutes in, they call in that there has been a 34 car pileup on the Kennedy.
Classic, just average Chicago day. Happens
And
every day.
that there was a mass casualty event. They're bringing in 100 people because the other ER has lost power.
Yes.
And it is just, you go from this like very light on your feet, like get to know the characters episode, to the most intense an episode of ER really gets.
Yeah.
And it is quite remarkable.
Yes. It's the way that it's able to juggle like that transition in tone is really great. It also introduces one of the best side characters, and Angela Hicks, played by CCH Pounder.
CCH.
She's so
CCH.
Awesome. When I was watching the show and she came up, I was like, yeah, she was just
Hell
on
yeah.
every good show.
Same thing with Michael Ironside. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just like they just had ringers.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
William
such
H.
good.
Macy.
They're such good side. Exactly. They don't need to be the main focus of the show.
Mm-hmm.
All these other characters could be the main focus, and you just have these ringers come in and out for like a scene or two.
Yeah.
But,
they have we forgot to on day one. I just want to mention there is a cameo by Jigsaw himself.
Doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo.
Tobin Bell.
Tobin Bell. Well, and that made me think of one of our favorite movies, Paco. Do you know what I'm going to say?
No.
Saw 10?
Oh, Saw 10. I was like, there's no way he's talking about Saw 10.
Well, do you remember the scene where he's in the ER?
Yeah.
And and he's walking around like imagining our favorite scene in that movie. That movie isn't okay.
Yeah, the second time we've talked about the scene.
I know, we're kind of obsessed. But like that takes place in the ER. Tobin Bell ER.
Yeah, that's true.
Tobin Bell ER, Paco. Tobin Bell ER.
Tobin Bell ER. I thought he was gonna be a recurring character, but I think he's only in that one episode.
He's only in that one.
Hopefully they bring him back. I'm surprised.
There's a bunch of like that guys in the show too.
Yeah. Do you think was Brad Dourif ever on ER?
Everyone was on ER.
I know. I'm just
everyone was on ER.
I'm sort of surprised.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he wasn't.
He was on The Pit.
He's on The Pit. He's pretty good on The Pit.
Abraham Ben Ruby is in the show as like a side lead. That the tall guy. You know what I'm talking about? Tag. No, Tag is
Carol Hathaway's
Carol's fiance. No, that guy's annoying. I'm sorry. Actually, so many of the characters, like in season 1, so many of like the characters like problems.
Mm-hmm.
Those characters are like the most annoying characters. Like Mark Green's wife. Oh my God. Cannot stand her ass. Can't stand Tag. Susan Lewis's
sister Chloe.
I couldn't stand Susan Lewis's love interest.
Oh, the first one.
The doctor who goes crazy. He was also a lost guy.
That's funny.
Benton is kind of his own. He gets in his own way. His mom is very sweet.
Yeah,
and
his mom is very nice.
His whole thing is with what's his name? Very famous actor, Ving Rhames.
Oh, Ving Rhames.
Benton's whole thing is with Ving Rhames.
Yes.
Benton's sister's boyfriend,
Yeah.
husband,
Yes.
his brother-in-law,
Yeah.
played by Ving Rhames. He's incredible in the show. Just
when aren't you happy to see Ving Rhames? Like whenever he shows up, it's just like, hell yeah. I'm glad.
And just to rattle off some other people who are just incredible in season 1, Amy Ryan, Garrett Morris, Bradley Whitford, who we'll talk about, Vondi Curtis Hall, Rosemary Clooney comes in, George Clooney's mom. Miguel Ferrer's in the pilot.
Oh yeah, is the guy
who's got cancer.
Yes.
There's just all these these aren't. Adam Scott is in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Baby Adam Scott. There's just so many little character actors.
Kathy Griffin.
And yeah, Kathy Griffin was in. Was that Kathy Griffin, or did it just look like Kathy Griffin?
I'm pretty sure that looked like. I mean,
I was staring right at her, going, "Is this Kathy Griffin?" Of the troop leader with all the kids who are shitting and
yeah.
Supposedly, Bobcat Goldthwait was in it, but I don't know.
I sort of remember that.
There's so many people, and I just think that it's just an incredible season. Was just this incredible set with all these people who came together right at the right time. And I would say that there's still some incredible characters yet to come who haven't been introduced on the show. So I'm excited to get to those. But and now some thoughts from Caitlyn Johnson about ER.
Hi Paco, hi Jeremy. I first got into ER through my parents as a kid, because as a born and raised Chicago kid with some born and raised Chicago parents, my parents really, really love watching TV shows where their city is being featured. In addition to the fact that my dad really just loved watching, the most prestigious television, still does. And now as a filmmaker and an avid TV watcher, which I also got from my dad, I have rediscovered this show, watching the good and the bad of all 15 seasons. And for me now, understanding everything that goes into making a TV show, especially I think ER's longevity, the full season pack, we all beg for a show to have multiple seasons with 22 episodes. And I think TV shows like ER really, really sort of catapulted that as the norm of network television. What stood out to me for that first season of ER, it's got to be the filmmaking. I mean, everything about the filmmaking is just incredible. I mean, down to the characterizations, the writing is just incredible. But I would say the filmmaking in the most literal sense, which is that this is shot on film, 35 millimeter to be exact. And the lighting is insane. It's beautiful. It really makes you feel like you're in County General. It just feels like a real hospital, but the most elegant hospital you've ever seen. Anyways, I just think it's amazing, and I think that the writing is so good, and I think that it finds a way to balance, this hard-hitting drama with this laugh out loud, physical comedy that you find from the actors, and it really created a really balanced show. There's so much that's happening in that first season, so much that has to be established about these characters, and I think it really does a good job, and does this, this is something you see in TV shows moving forward, but I think it does a really wonderful job of, it's about the doctors and the lives they live, but the way that you find out things about these doctors is through how they care for their patients and how they treat, their colleagues. And I think that is a really wonderful way to handle characterization of a show. And I think that in that you get to see the imperfection of these medical professionals. And I think, especially for me as a child, when I first started watching this show, you think of doctors and nurses and things like that as people who just are always right. They're these, powerful, knowledgeable people who, have to not have to, but I think we assume that they have to have the right answer all the time, and that they know what they're doing all the time. And so I think for me, one of the best themes of that season one is imperfection. And I think the challenge of like always having to be on and needing to be correct. And I think that we really see that through Mark Green's arc that begins in season one. It definitely doesn't, conclude in season one, but it begins in season one where we see this person who is honestly a little cocky. He's a bit of a know-it-all, but it's like all those things make us really appreciate Mark Green because like he does it, like he just goes for it. And I think those things can really help you understand a character, but then it also helps you understand why a character might not be like this isn't sustainable for this character. And so for me, I think like that imperfection theme, that sort of theme of, these doctors aren't perfect, I think is really exhibited, really wonderfully through Mark Green, through his entire arc, but especially in the season one arc when we're getting to know him. My favorite Chicago moment from the show, I would probably say that Blizzard episode of season one, Sick. Really cool. That's exactly how Blizzards used to be. And it's just really cute, like watching John Carter like fall over himself. Like, it's amazing. I love watching him.
Season one as its own sort of thing. Do you want to talk a little bit about our next episode, Paco?
Love's Labor Lost.
So this is the episode where I think we should talk about the Mark Green arc.
Yes. So Mark Green, who is the chief resident, played by Anthony Edwards. Fun fact, Anthony Edwards was originally, they wanted him to play Mark. They looked a long time for him. And
he was
right
drafted
actor.
in, I think, the first round to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah.
And plays power forward. Sorry, that's different. Anthony Edwards. Go ahead.
It's the Ant-Man. He was originally, I think they spent a long time looking for someone to play Mark, the perfect person to play Mark. They really wanted Anthony Edwards, and then he was going to direct another movie, and they managed to convince the studio to push the movie back so that he could direct a pilot. And I think the movie was incredibly, I think I sent it to you. It's really funny.
What it was?
Yeah. It's called Charlie's Ghost Story. It's based on a story by Mark Twain. It stars Cheech Martin and Anthony Edwards.
We don't know it's not good.
We don't know it's not. I don't think it's not good. I just think it looks really funny.
So Anthony Edwards is so good in the show. Don't you think, Paco?
Great. Yes,
he's really. I know him from Top Gun. He was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Many things.
I'm rewatching Girls, and he plays Shoshana's dad on Girls.
He's really good in Zodiac.
He's in Zodiac?
Yeah, he plays the reporter the investigator who can't. He like cracks under the pressure. Really great performance from him in that. But yeah, he's unbelievable on the show, and like if you lined up all the actors in ER, you wouldn't say that the sex symbol is Anthony Edwards, and yet when you're watching the show, who has the motion, Paco? It's Mark Green.
Everyone does kind of want to fuck him.
He's unbelievably charming.
Yeah.
He's just a movie star, or he's a television star, but he's just a star. And I find him to be his arc. So he goes from being, the voice of reason, the one with the head on his shoulders. In the pilot episode, he is approached by a private practice to try to poach him and have an easy, private practice career, with a timeshare and golfing and yada, yada, yada. And his wife, his wife,
kid.
Yeah, wants him to, you can have a kid without it being married, Paco. Okay. Sorry. His wife really wants him to take this job because she's just passed the bar exam. She's
I
about
think
to
the
go into
next
this very
episode-
busy life.
I
Mhm.
think the next episode she passes the bar.
She does. Exactly. And because they fuck in
Yeah.
the bathroom. And I would say that his main arc is trying to balance that home life situation with being an ER, like leading an ER, and like that has to be your life.
Yeah.
And you understand because we're in the perspective of watching the ER, we get it. But every time you go back to the family life, he has a kid there who's like, "Dad, where have you been?"
Yeah.
And his wife becomes more and more, distant from him. Ends up moving to Milwaukee.
Well, she gets a job clerking for like a judge and be really
Yes.
good for her career. And I think like
Exactly.
and I think she's frustrated at the fact that like she's giving up a part of her life for his career. And now that she has a chance to change her career, he's not really willing to make that same sacrifice.
I think the show makes the smart decision to make her annoying because if she isn't annoying, we would fucking hate Mark Green. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Like if it's a more compelling performance and written role, we're like, oh, he's got to leave the ER. And instead it's like,
I don't think she's that annoying. I feel
Oh
like
my
you're
God, she's so annoying.
You're making her a Skylar White. It's a Skylar White
No.
situation.
No,
You're making her
no.
evil just because you like Mark. Just because you like the
No,
bald
she's
guy with
evil.
glasses.
She's like very thinly written in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
And she like has no interest in the lives of the other people in his life.
Mm-hmm.
She'll like walk in and be like, "Mark," and he'll be like in the middle of helping someone in the ER.
Yeah.
I think that is purposeful. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think I'm Skylar Whiting. Skylar Whiting is she has a very clear like perspective in that show and is a very well written character, and a bunch of people were very annoying about her. I think that character is purposefully not understanding the point of the show we're watching.
Mm-hmm.
So that when Mark makes the decision to stay in the ER and travel up and visit his daughter, you're not like, "Oh, what a monster."
Yeah.
It's like he needs to be there.
I mean, I think it's also like because he's so competent, like what the kind of negative side to his competency is that I think he's kind of a control freak, and I think he like thinks, I mean, he is very important to the ER, but I think it kind of gets to his head to the extent where he like takes on more things than maybe he has to.
Yeah. And what else does he like doing? Flirting with Sherry Stringfield.
Yes.
That's his work wife.
Yeah, definitely.
It gets a little crazy. So her main arc, now that we're just sort of dipping into arcs, if you're fine with that, Paco.
Yeah, let's go for it.
She is, I think, I would say the most competent and the smartest doctor that they have.
Yes, I think.
But go ahead.
I think her arc is about finding confidence.
Yes, she has to step up for herself. Exactly. She like on paper can do everything, but has to step into her role and butts heads with Mark Green as well as with Doug and with other characters because she doesn't feel like she's taken seriously as a woman in the workplace. She also has to balance her home life with her sister, who's a drug addict, and also is quite annoying.
I think she's just thinly written again.
All these characters I think are purposely annoying. I'm not saying that like they're like bumped up to 11 annoying at times, not all the time.
Yeah.
Because you have to feel these characters that we love being drawn away from the ER, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like her sister is so out of control. Personality disorder, drug addiction, these things, that Dr. Lewis feels very, responsible.
Yeah.
For her sister, who ends up getting pregnant and having a baby. And you see sort of like the home life that they come from and how she's really the only stable one. And at the end of the season, she has a baby in her arms.
Yeah.
So that's her arc in season 1. Anything else you want to say about Dr. Lewis, Paco?
Yeah, I think her her relationship to men is interesting, because she has that relationship to that doctor for a while who's like kind of older. I think like those are the types of men it seems like she's attracted to, her like her flirtationship with Mark. But then there's also her kind of it's clear that they're kind of setting up something between her and John Carter. But yeah, she's great. She always, if I were to go to that ER, she would probably be the one I would want to be treated by.
Totally.
Should we talk about Benton, Peter Benton?
His arc? Yeah.
Yes.
His arc is, I would say, I think that like the show is not didactic about this, but I would say now would be someone who is on the autism spectrum. You know, he is someone who does not understand social cues at times, someone who is very dedicated to his work, someone who comes across as rude in the workplace, while trying to train John Carter, and he has to understand the way that he comes across sometimes. And the other thing is that he's obsessed with his job.
Yeah.
And is so career focused that he's forgetting his home life. And his mother is going in and out of the hospital, having to be put in a home. He's financially taking care of his family, but he's never there. So his sister is getting very frustrated. And I would say that like it is an incredibly interesting character. I would say not a very typical role that is written for Black characters of the 90s.
Yeah,
is that
definitely.
sort of like that professional, career driven, awkward, not like, like he's still smooth at times and like very charming. But he doesn't understand what other people are talking about sometimes, and is incredibly rude to the nurses. Like when things aren't stocked right. And I think his performance is really, really great. He could be frustrating and annoying, but I'm just gonna call everyone annoying.
But yeah, I think he's similar to Mark. Because he's so competent. He thinks he carries the world on his shoulders when he doesn't have to. And definitely that's the relationship. That's the thing that happens to him with his mom. And also like I think he ends up being really rude to Carter as a result. And that's sort of like another tension of the first season, is sort of like Carter is never sure if Benton likes him or not.
Carter, but also all the nurses, all the people beneath him and he's sort of, he doesn't have a good reputation amongst those people. What is Carter's arc?
Carter is a medical student. I feel like his is just kind of like learning to work at the ER and kind of like figuring out what he's good at. And I think what he ends up excelling at is kind of like working with patients and caring about them. I think like in the same way that who's the Welsh guy in the pit?
Yes.
What's his name?
Yes. The one with the sad eyes.
Yeah, what's his character's name? Whitaker.
Yeah,
in the same way that Whitaker is kind of set up as like the Dr. Robbie's like mentee. I think there's a similar kind of setup with John Carter and Mark. I think like John wants to be more like Mark than Benton. And doesn't. I think as a result doesn't really see the amount of like what Benton is teaching him. And like
and Benton does teach him a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that he has to open his eyes to that. I also think it's a very interesting thing to be revealed in season 1 that John Carter is a rich kid.
Yeah, he's
coming in there. Yeah. He's from a very rich family. He's very well connected. One of the donors of the hospital in one of the episodes, like chatting him up. Oh, are you the Carters from this family? And that's an interesting story decision, and it centers his character. He has to understand what the real world's like.
Yeah.
And working in an ER is a rude awakening at times. He faints in the first episode, in the same way that character does in the pit.
Whitaker, yeah.
Or Crash, who's
Crash Javadi, yeah.
Javadi. So it's a very interesting thing, and both Mark Green and Peter Benton console him in different ways.
Yeah.
Mark does in that very dramatic in the alley with all the shadows, and the ER is about getting back up. You know what I mean? He gives him like a rousing speech, and the way Benton does is over his shoulder while reading reports, going, don't let it happen again. You know,
Yeah.
like it's normal. Just don't let it happen again. Like that's those two communication styles,
Mm-hmm.
I think. And I think that like it's a very interesting character difference for him to be learning from.
Yeah, definitely. He also has a rivalry with I think Debbie, another medical student who's kind of in and out.
Yeah.
She's kind of a big part of the show for a few episodes. and
Is
then
she
they
the voice
drop
of
her.
Mulan?
Oh, I think she
I
might
think
be.
she is the voice of Mulan, and she's been in a ton of stuff.
Yes.
A very, prolific actress, especially a voice actress.
Yeah, apparently she comes back later in ER. So
Yes.
we have that to look forward to.
I do think I knew that. She's also very interesting in the show. We didn't talk about Carol.
Carol, yes.
Yeah, Carol is quite interesting in her arc. Juliana Margulies. She starts the lowest of the low, by attempting to end her life. And then has to sort of like her arc is like figuring out how to re-engage, reattach, find reasons to live.
Yeah.
Her whole relationship with Tag, another doctor, who I'm gonna say it now, he's kind of annoying. Like you don't want her to end up with Tag. Am I wrong?
No, that's true. I mean, how could you? Yeah.
You're like looking at her, and I think that her arc matches pretty well with Doug's.
Yeah.
Where Doug has to learn how to treat women like human beings, and he fails. And she has to learn to trust people and let them in.
Yeah.
And she fails.
Yeah.
And the whole first season is her, reeling really from her attempted suicide. There's a young Russian girl who is in the hospital who she tries to adopt. A young girl with AIDS, so she's not even going to live very long.
Yeah.
And she gets rejected from adopting her because of her suicide attempt. There's that stigma of having to go back into work, which is a very interesting part of the show. Her and Doug starts dating different women. One being a very rich woman who's everyone likes, but she knows that George Clooney, Doug's not very into her.
Yeah.
In that Blizzard episode, she orders everyone those pizzas, and she says to Juliana Margulies, like, "Do you believe in perfect love? Do you believe in love at first sight, like Sleepless in Seattle? Because, you're Doug's."
Yeah.
Perfect woman, and that's an interesting, conflict of the show. She ends up getting engaged to Tag, and the whole end of the first season is them leading up to a wedding.
Yes, and then he ends it. He ends it, which
Yeah.
is interesting. It's an interesting character move because I thought like, oh, she's gonna like get cold feet like classic style, and then he's kind of just like, you're not that into me, are you?
Yeah.
Which is
What a shitty thing to do.
I know, yeah.
What a shitty. I know it's a TV show, and I know that whatever, but like everyone is in the fucking church.
Yeah.
Like it's the thing that drives me crazy about every rom-com that ends like that. Every like abandon them at the altar thing. I'm just like, you couldn't have done this like a few weeks before.
Yeah.
People flew out for this. Like she said, you had like over 150 people from his side of the family coming.
Yeah, and like the problems with their engagement are clear in the episodes leading up to it. Like they're constantly fighting about the wedding, where they want to go. Like he wants to go to France on vacation. She wants to go to Hawaii. It's like he could have just brought it up earlier. He could have just said something.
Absolutely.
I guess maybe he didn't want to be. Maybe he was waiting for her to do it. It's kind of one of those situations.
So I feel like at this point we've gotten to the point where we got to talk about the episode Motherhood.
Yes. Well, we didn't talk about Love's Labor's Lost.
Oh yeah, well we should talk about that. Sorry. So Mark, because we started talking about Mark.
Yes, Mark Green. Oh, we didn't really do a dive on Doug, but we kind of talked about Doug.
Doug's a shithead. He's a fuckboy. He's
drunk.
He
all
dips
the
his
time.
wick. He's drunk.
Yeah.
He's charming. He cares about these kids, but he's
Yes.
constantly blowing up at people. He's not very tactful.
He gets into 2
And
fights, I believe.
he gets
and
into
it's
multiple
implied
fights.
that he gets into more earlier.
And he starts dating someone near the end of the season. He then cheats on her. He gets caught, and she jumps him.
Yes, and she has a kid too.
Yeah, so he's learning.
Yes. Also,
he tussles the kid's hair, and he's like, "Oh, champ."
Yeah, that's how their relationship starts, because he starts playing basketball with this kid, and he kind of like develops a father-son relationship with this kid, this poor kid, and then he starts dating his mom, and then he cheats on her.
And he cheats on the mom. Yeah.
And they also mention that Doug has a kid.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
They do mention that.
Because at some point he's trying to like, I think he's trying to like explain to some father or something, or like the guy's like, "Do you have kids?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do." An 8-year-old.
My dad's big note for this was that everyone in the show would be like 5 years younger.
Yeah, definitely,
Like,
definitely.
he's like, everyone in the show is a little too old for this role.
John Carter's the only one that makes sense.
Yeah, he was like, I think 12 when he made it. He was like 22. He just had like a really fresh face.
Yes.
Whereas like Clooney's in his mid-30s at this point.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, you would be a resident. I guess like the implication is that they all like waited a few years before going to med school. But yeah, like you're a resident in your 20s usually if you go to med school right after college. Yeah, they're all way too cool. They're all way too old, and then they're all way too hot. Not to say that there aren't hot doctors out there. There are plenty of hot doctors, but
no, but they wouldn't all be hot.
Yeah, and I think there's a really funny episode of I rewatched the Larry Sanders Show last year, and there's a few episodes where, so Larry Sanders, if you haven't seen it, is about a talk show host, and so each episode is kind of a behind the scenes of this talk show. And there's a few episodes where, because it was in the 90s, there's a few episodes where a bunch of ER people guest star. And I think there's an episode where they're doing like the 5th anniversary of the Larry Sanders Show. And they have both Mandy Patinkin from Chicago Hope and Noah Wiley from ER. And they have like an argument about which show is better in the dressing room. And Mandy Patinkin is just like, well, everyone is just so handsome.
That's a good bit.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh,
we were talking about Love's Labor's Lost.
Love's Labor Lost. Yes. So Mark, up until this point, is kind of the golden boy. Can't really do anything bad. This is a really intense episode. It was one of those episodes where I had to keep pausing to just like kind of like stress out. You know, like just every scene, something horrible happens.
And this was the Emmy-winning episode. This was the big one.
Yes. And I think it's generally
Blizzard robbed.
I think it's generally considered one of the best episodes. Also directed by Mimi Leader. Yeah. And unlike other episodes that you know, kind of focus on multiple patients going back and forth, there's constantly changing stuff. This in the second half of the episode, this ends up focusing just on Mark and his patient, which is like a pregnant woman who comes in because she thinks she has a UTI. He's not an OBGYN. He's not an expert on pregnancies, even though he's had multiple patients who have pregnant. So he misses some like crucial signs that something could be wrong. I think he like measures the fetus wrong, like incorrectly, so he thinks the baby is smaller. He just misses all these crucial signs, and he keeps realizing his mistakes too late, and he keeps insisting he wants to keep working with the patient past when his shift is up, because he wants to like make it better, and he kind of just keeps fucking up more and more and more. And I think because up until then he's such a goody two shoes, like can never fail except for in his home life. Seeing him fuck up is so hard, you know?
Yeah, it's really brutal, and it changes his arc for the rest of the series. The rest of the season, I would say, especially, he really takes that rough.
Yeah.
And he's depressed for basically the rest of the season.
Yes. The pregnant woman dies. He's able to save the baby, but the pregnant woman dies. He does a C-section even though he's never done one before. It's kind of crazy. It's really intense.
It's really, really good television.
Yeah.
I understand why it was ranked so high. It was TV Guide ranked it number 3 on the list of 100th greatest episodes in 1997, and it moved down in 2009 when they did it again, but only to number 6.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things where I get why it's so well respected. It's not my favorite episode, but it's a very, very crucial part of the season and the arc of the season for Mark Green.
Yes.
And I find it really compelling.
It causes him to kind of just question everything and why he does everything and whether or not this is a good fit for him.
Exactly.
And there's a few episodes after this episode, he's pretty rude to his patients and kind of depressed and doesn't really, he doesn't get along with
the new doctor. Yeah. The new chief resident, no?
Or attending.
Chief attending. I'm so bad at these names.
Your dad's a doctor. I feel like you should know better.
There's a reason I'm not a doctor, Paco. My sister went into the field my mom went to. My brother sort of went into the field my dad went into. And I'm in the arts, baby. Let's go movies. Whatever. It's not that important, is it? It's just your health.
Yeah.
It's not as important as movies.
Yeah,
okay?
That's true. That's fair.
I know what a best boy does. They don't. So the Michael Ironside plays the new
attending.
And
his name is Dr. Swift. Is that right? Or is that like what they call him? Yeah, William Swift.
Billy
Wild
Swift?
Willie.
Wild Willie. Yeah, and he's wild.
Yeah,
he comes in and he has a bad interaction with Mark right away in a diner.
Yes.
The episode after this, right?
I think either that or the one after that.
I think it's really the one right after.
Oh yeah, because Mark keeps like ditching work.
He keeps ditching work. He's depressed. He's in a little Chicago diner, and he has a negative interaction with Swift, and then Swift doesn't trust him. Basically, he has to prove it to him.
Yeah,
and he keeps fucking up around him, and he's good. We know how good of a Dr. Green is, and so it's frustrating to see him basically be like, well, maybe I should just move on. Yeah. And at this point, his relationship with his wife is very bad.
They're separated.
And he's like, maybe I should just like get closer with my wife again.
Yeah.
And he very like sadly goes back up with her. I hate those episodes. I hate those parts of those episodes. I just really dislike that character, but I think like you're supposed to. I don't think it's like a bad performance, but it's just like the feeling of like, no, you're in the wrong place, Mark. Like, go back and prove it. So that leads us to the end of the season, with like all these character arcs are coming to a head. In episode 24, Motherhood, directed by a little known director named Quentin Tarantino.
Who?
Quentin Tarantino. And it was written by Lydia Woodward. And it's basically an episode. It starts with Dr. Lewis's sister, Chloe, going into labor, and them having to go in. And every arc in the episode has to do with a mother or motherhood in some form or fashion.
Yes.
It's a very cleverly written episode. It's not my favorite episode, Paco.
Yes.
I will say that. I think it's overrated.
Yeah, I think there's
really good stuff in it.
Yeah. And there's definitely like some Tarantino touches, but I think like when it comes to like television, especially like this kind of classic television, it's kind of hard to like make your mark as a director. Because like
totally
the best television directors are the ones that capture the tone of the show. You know?
Yeah, that they understand what the tone of the show is.
Yeah.
And that they're able to, if they dedicate them, like Tarantino's not going to direct multiple episodes.
Yeah.
So he has his moments, like when Carol and Susan sunbathe up on the roof. That's very Tarantino. And like
when Chloe's giving birth and they're trying to like find the song to play the correct album, and Carter keeps getting the wrong thing.
That's funny. That's very Tarantino. There's also a Carter saying that the stars are called Larry, Curly, and Moe.
Oh, right.
That's just a very Tarantino moment.
Yes.
Also, you're in Chicago. You're downtown. You're not seeing stars. Sorry. That's not real. But yeah, there was a lot of gross stuff in this episode that they let
Yeah,
him do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So that's in a lot of ways and I feel like that's why he wanted to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, wow, this show is so crazy. Like they're showing blood and guts and wow. And I feel like that's why he was also just obsessed with Clooney. No,
Yes. Oh yeah, there's like a crazy ass bone saw scene. That's what
there's
I
a
wrote.
bone saw scene.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
that was what I wrote in my notes. Crazy ass bone saw scene.
Crazy as bone saw scene. Yeah, it's a very good episode. But it's not anywhere near the heights that the series gets to,
Yes.
in my opinion. And it's, I think, overrated because of its Tarantino connection, even though it's not very Tarantino-y.
Yeah.
It has its moments.
We should re-edit this episode to be out of order chronologically.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. That will really help our ratings. Yeah. There's a lot of Doug Ross stuff in this with his. That's the episode where he cheats on
His girlfriend, yes.
his girlfriend.
I also felt like there were more handheld stuff. There's more handheld stuff on this episode. Maybe
I could believe that.
Maybe I was just like trying to find something different director wise, but I felt like there was more handheld stuff and more like zoom ins. It was like a little bit more, but like the show's already so stylized. Like it looks so like it's like so much Steadicam on the show. Yeah. It's crazy
Yeah,
how they filmed this. Just in general. But Benton's mom dies. This is that episode.
Yes, which is a very affecting scene and a very well shot scene, I will say as well.
Yeah.
This whole show is well shot. Noah Wiley at the end of the season is basically having to choose between a surgical residency, right, and the ER. And this is the episode where he tells the ER that he's not going to go with them,
yes.
and then finds out that he didn't get the
surgical. Yes.
The surgical.
Yes.
And then the finale, which is the one where we've already talked about.
But wait, it is worth mentioning also Benton and Jeannie kiss.
Oh yeah.
After his mom does.
And who's Jeannie? We haven't talked about her.
No, she's a nurse trying to become a physician's assistant who has sort of like flirty vibes with Benton, even though I think she's married or she's married.
She is some sort of.
I think she's
partner,
married.
Yeah.
And she takes care of his mom and is kind of trying to get him to realize that he's not able to take care of his mom like he wants to, and she needs to be put in a nursing home.
And he's a big baby.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah.
He's very annoying. When he's when he's talking to Ving Rhames, he's got this pouty look on his face, and the performance is really great.
Yeah.
But the character is that sort of carries on in we're not talking about the other seasons, but Eric LaSalle, who I will say I know from Coming to America as being the Jerry Curl guy, and who's so annoying and obnoxious in such a good performance. Like it is truly what he's being asked to do, is being the annoying guy who Eddie Murphy has to go up against. And he utilizes that in a very different way in this show, because you can't be too annoyed with Benton, but you kind of are.
Yeah. He's also directed some funny looking movies.
Eric LaSalle?
Yes.
Actors are weird.
Yeah. He directed a basketball movie starring Don Cheadle.
What's the name?
Rebound, The Legend of Earl the Goat Manigault. Heard of that guy?
Nope.
Also James Earl Jones, the TV movie for HBO. He also directed a really cool looking movie called Crazy as Hell.
Damn, is it crazy as hell?
You should look at the poster for it. It's about Eric LaSalle, who is a patient at a state-run mental asylum hospital who claims to be Satan.
Yeah. Oh, I've been on this page before. What got me to this page before?
I probably sent it to you.
Yeah, no, this rocks. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to watch Crazy as Hell. If anyone has watched Crazy as Hell, please reach out to us.
Yes.
Yeah, what's our email?
At chicagopodfilmcast@gmail.com. Please reach out to us.
We're getting to the point of the episode where we start going through Wikipedia pages, so let's just finalize our thoughts on this final episode, Paco. What's the name of the final episode again?
Everything Old is New Again.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
Which
mentioned.
is a Mimi leader.
Yes, another Mimi leader. Mimi Heater, as some would say.
Oh, a Mimi heater. I like that.
Yeah. Everything old is new again. As you mentioned earlier, it starts with Carter sleeping. It's his last day. The through line for Carter through this episode is that he has to fill out an evaluation for Benton, and he's kind of pissed off at Benton, so he gives him a bad evaluation. Him and a nurse who's also pissed off at Benton. They kind of work together to give him a terrible evaluation, and then he learns that the person who initially took the ER surgical internship turned it down, so it's available if he wants to take it. And Benton would continue to be his boss. So he decides to go back and try to change it. CCH Pounder, who is Peter's supervisor, has already taken a look at it, but she lets him change it. After reading Benton's evaluation of Carter, which is very nice, which is very sweet. Yeah. That's one of the scenes of the show that made me tear up.
It was great. Yeah, just him just being like, this is just his communication style.
Yeah.
And that scene is really nice.
Yes. And they decide that he's gonna give Benton like the top or a nearly top rating on his evaluations. Meanwhile, Mark also gets a job. He is offered the attending position. So he would be kind of like the William H. Macy role in the ER. You mentioned also that Chloe, Susan's sister, leaves the baby for her to take care of. And then I guess we kind of talked about everything that happens in this episode. Does anything happen with Doug? I don't think so.
He has a conversation with the kid.
Oh, right.
He has to explain why he's not going to be around anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not as into that storyline, but
he has a nice
actor.
Yeah.
Where's it at in Clooney's career?
I think he was stuck in TV for a long time, and this was his big break. Like I think that's why he was hired first, is because everyone knew that he was gonna be a big star because he looked like that. And I mean this ended up obviously making his career skyrocket. A few years later, he actually starred in a movie directed by Mimi Leader with Nicole Kidman. I forget what it's called. It's one of those classic 90s political thrillers. The Peacemaker.
Oh, I've never seen The Peacemaker. The Peacemaker is a political thriller?
Yes.
I've always heard that word. We should watch The Peacemaker.
It's not very good. I've watched it.
No.
It's fun.
It's decent. From Dusk Till Dawn is a few years later.
Yes.
Because he wasn't in much until, Batman and Robin. Did they make fun of the Batman nipples ever in ER?
I hope so. I guess we'll find out.
Because I guess it wasn't until 1998 with Out of Sight and Thin Red Line that he
really blew
Three
up.
Kings, and then he became a movie star after that.
Yeah, that's when his he's in the South Park movie.
Yes. I think they're making fun of him a lot.
That's really funny.
Yeah. I think they love making fun of George Clooney, but he plays himself.
That's cool.
So,
and now he's an acclaimed director.
Oh yeah, such good movies, such as
The Boys in the Boat,
as well as
The Tender Bar,
as well as Midnight Sky, as well as
that's one of the worst movies. I bet we could probably name all his movies.
Leatherheads,
Good Night and Good Luck.
There's no way. Oh, yeah, Good Night and Good Luck is the good one.
Yeah.
Is it good? I remember liking it. It's probably not good.
I think everyone was like, "Oh, hey, George Clooney."
What's the one where he's on? It's like Ryan Gosling, Time Magazine.
Oh, The Ides of March. I actually really liked that movie when it came out, and I've found out recently that it's really disliked.
It's probably so bad. But when you're like 14, that's like, ooh.
I mean, that was when I was
saying the things we don't know.
That was like right after Drive, I think. So I was like really into Ryan Gosling at that time. And obviously I was into George Clooney. Philip Seymour Hoffman's in it. It's just like got like a crazy cast. You're just
Actors.
like, how could this possibly be a bad movie?
Yeah, I'm
Um,
sure it's so bad.
yeah.
My favorite part of did you ever see Jay Kelly?
No.
Can I spoil the ending of Jay Kelly?
We have talked about Jay Kelly before.
Okay, I'm gonna
On
spoil
this
the ending of Jay
podcast.
Kelly. We have? When did we?
Yeah,
have-
during our Chicago, during the
Oh
wrap
my
up
god,
of
it was in the fucking festival. Anyway, I'll just say this real quick. If you don't want to hear the ending of Jay Kelly, skip ahead. 30 seconds. I will be brief. The ending of Jay Kelly, they're at a festival in Italy watching all the movies of Jay Kelly, and they do like a supercut of all of Jay Kelly's movies, and it's just George Clooney movies, and they show Leatherheads in there, and I thought that was really funny personally.
Is that a spoiler? I thought that was obviously that was going to happen at the end.
I feel like not. You don't know that that's going to be the ending.
I see. Do they show ER?
Down, down, down. No, I don't think so.
That's sad.
Although maybe if I went back and rewatched Jay Kelly for the third time.
You've seen it twice?
Yeah, we watched it on Christmas.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Did you like it more the second time?
I did like it more the second time,
Okay.
but not
that's
a
good.
lot more. Like a little more. It's not great. I liked Is This Thing On less, and I like Jay Kelly more, and so they ended up being closer together in my like for them, like right around 3 stars.
Interesting.
This is not a show called 3 stars, Paco. This is 4 stars. We're talking about 4 stars only.
Yes.
Any other thoughts on ER season 1, my friend?
Yes, I think we should talk about
Chicago
the Chicago stuff.
Chicago
Yes.
stuff. Chicago stuff.
Yeah. So this show is set in Chicago.
It is.
But mostly filmed in Los Angeles on a studio.
Los Angeles. Mm-hmm.
In a studio. Something that it did differently from other TV shows, and I think why the ER, the emergency room, feels so lived in is that instead of making like your classic sets where it just like it's like 3 walls and then one part is open and then there's like the studio lights, they built like actual like rooms, like with ceilings with lights installed, so like all the hallways and all like the individual rooms like were actually there, so they had like the Steadicam like going throughout. So I think like lighting the show was kind of a pain in the ass because like they didn't have like that the kind of studio lighting that you normally would have in a studio. But I think it gives the show like you feel like you're really there, and I think like what the show is able to do like spatially is so good, and why it's so interesting to watch, and like why you're able to keep track of everything is because like there's actual space. They're not just like making a space from like different scenes.
Right.
Um,
Do you know what I just found out about George Clooney? I'm so sorry to cut you off.
what?
He's related to Miguel Ferrer.
Oh, interesting.
Miguel Ferrer is his cousin.
Huh. That's kinda
Sorry.
cool.
That's weird, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. I can see it.
They don't look anything alike.
You don't think so?
How are they related? No, I don't think anyone looks like the Ferrers. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off. Keep going.
But most of it was shot in a studio, but the show is set in Chicago, and they do have some very nice on location Chicago shooting. So about 3 or 4 times, I think 4 times during the first season, they went to Chicago to film some exterior scenes.
Yes.
The way that they did it was interesting, because obviously they couldn't, you see Chicago in multiple episodes in a row. They couldn't just like go film whenever they needed that part of the episode. TV filming doesn't work like filming. You usually are filming one episode at a time. But for the Chicago scenes, they obviously had to do things a little bit differently. So they would shoot a bunch of scenes from different episodes, but a lot of the times they wouldn't have the episodes finished.
That's awesome.
Like the scripts finished. So they would just like, they would like figure out like, here's what we need to do in Chicago. Write those scenes. And
Nice.
then they would go with all the actors and the whole crew, film in Chicago, film the exteriors in Chicago, and the actors would play scenes, and they would have no idea what was happening, like what was going on with their characters, because they would just have that one scene. Because like usually they would be able to they would know oh my character is doing this because of this happened, or this because of this happened. But in those cases, they just had to kind of on the spot try to figure out what their characters' motivations were, which I thought.
You think they did that for Shameless too, or?
But yeah, there was some. What were some of your favorite Chicago stuff in the show?
I would say the big thing that I think about is that scene after Mark Green has that surgery that goes awry. He falls asleep on the bench on the orange line, is it? Or
No,
he's
it's
on
the brown line.
He's on the brown line.
Yeah, it's on
brown line.
in the Chicago brown line.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Scene. And that makes sense that he didn't know what was going on. He just knew he needed to be sad.
Yeah.
And that he's at his lowest. That scene's very good. There's a scene early on, either in the first or second episode, where they're eating sandwiches downtown, right by the river.
Yeah.
I like that scene a lot. Something that's it's not like a Chicago scene, but it's the way that they dressed the set in LA. And another point that I was going to make, is that they just did a really good job of making it feel like Chicago when it's not Chicago.
Yeah, definitely.
Filling it with Chicago-looking actors.
Mm-hmm.
All the side characters, they did a really good job of not making those people look like they're from LA.
Yeah.
And I would say another thing that they did that was really good is just all the posters on the wall. They have a lot of Chicago International Film Festival posters.
Oh, interesting. I didn't notice that.
That are really cool. The history of the Chicago International Film Festival poster is something that someone should just put together. The festival next year should have those to buy because those are unbelievable posters.
Yeah.
And the show has a few from the 80s or the 90s up. And I every time I would just notice them, I'd be they used another one because they look very different from each other. And they're very abstract art.
Yeah.
But then it'll say at the bottom, or you'll see the eyes from the logo.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Chicago stuff in it, Puck?
I think it's in the first episode where Doug is watching a Bulls game. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Where Carter is trying to
He's
do
like,
small
who's
talk
winning?
with him. Yeah. Is that the only interaction between John Carter and Doug the whole season?
Yeah, they don't really have much
They don't really
in common.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I think they do a little more in the other seasons.
I just can't really think of them interacting.
George Clooney should be on the Pit.
Yeah, they should get Clooney on the Pit. I feel like he wouldn't do that.
He should do it.
He wouldn't stoop so low.
They should get Sherry Stringfield.
Yes, but I think they were talking with some of the actors to come back when it was going to be potentially an ER sequel. I don't remember which ones. Yeah, I think definitely the brown line scenes are stuff that I think about a lot, and that are just nice to see because I live on the brown line. The rooftop stuff is awesome. Anytime they're on the rooftop, I think they use the Chicago Fire Department Academy rooftop for those scenes.
Nice.
I think that it just great shots of the skyline. I'm trying to think of what else.
Yeah, I feel like later on they do more in season 2, 3, and 4. I feel like that's the peak of them filming in Chicago, and then they really stop filming in Chicago. I think later on.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I just love it as a Chicago show. It does feel like an ER in Chicago. I love how cold those episodes are. I love the episode called Chicago Heat.
Yeah.
Where it's just a super muggy day.
They filmed the second season during the famous 1995 heat wave.
Nice.
So they were suffering.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that if you don't live in Chicago and you think about the cold of Chicago, but you don't think about how hot it gets.
Yeah.
And that muggy heat in Chicago is very, very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And they do a good job of making those environmental factors Chicago stuff. I would say the stuff that they are kind of more the classic Hollywood views Chicago thing is the crime stuff.
Yeah.
And It's not that it's bad, it's just that it feels a little bit leery. It feels a little bit outsidery.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a little bit like we were talking about earlier, straight from the head, ripped from the headlines,
Mm-hmm.
which feels like the SVU style of like what's in the news and how can we make it part of the episode? And
Yeah, yeah.
that's just like a TV writer problem.
Definitely. And I understand why they have so many people with HIV or AIDS. I don't like how a lot of them turn out,
Yeah.
or like how they're written, or I don't know.
Yeah, there's an episode that's about a transgender patient that's
Yeah.
not it's like for that era, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like probably better than most.
Yeah. It's definitely,
But
I mean,
watching it now, you're just like, eh.
they definitely, they call her by the right pronouns, but it's definitely,
Yeah.
it kind of ends up being just a lesson for Carter, because the trans woman, she ends up committing suicide, jumping off the roof. They never talk about it again. And it's kind of just like a thing with Carter, like a lesson for him. And a lot of some of the worst aspects of the show are when they just use certain ripped from the headlines things as lessons for the characters, and not necessarily to like making in-depth characters themselves.
Ooh, let's talk about the score. Let's talk about the opening song.
Yeah, the opening song is awesome.
Oh, it's so good. It's a James Newton Howard banger. It's so good. Dum da da.
Yeah.
Dum da da. It's so good.
Yeah.
James Newton Howard rocks.
This was kind of the peak of theme songs, I would say.
Do you know what score that James Newton Howard did the year before this? The Fugitive.
Oh, The Fugitive. Who did the X-Files? It's just another score that I'm just like, anytime that I watch that show, I gotta watch the whole theme song,
Yeah.
Theme songs. You don't really, so many shows have like skipped the theme song now. Now you just go straight to like, oh, you see the title somewhere. I don't know. It's all either like kind of Game of Thrones bullshit, or
Yeah, it's either like too long of a intro song, or
or not at all. They're just trying to do like the girls thing. But I just like, it's really a good theme song. I don't know. I watched the first episode of The Sopranos a few weeks ago, and it's like, you just get like a good theme song. It just like really gets you in the mood. You can't skip it.
I agree. Oh, the best part of the Quentin Tarantino episode is when John Carter flips over backwards when Chloe walks in pregnant. John is leaning back in his chair and he flips over.
Oh yeah.
It's such a funny pratfall, and he pops straight up. It's such good. Oh my god. Anyway, I really enjoyed talking about TV on this. I'm very much so a movie boy. I struggle sometimes with TV, but I do like taking bites of TV and really talking about them. And I would like to talk about more ER in the future if we ever get to season 2 and stuff. But I let us know, if you're a listener of the show, if you enjoyed hearing us talk about television. And because I would like to cover some of these other Chicago shows. There's some other classic Chicago shows, as Paco and I have talked about, that we really want to cover, especially that 80s stuff.
Crime Story.
Yeah.
You know who directed an episode of Crime Story?
Who?
Mimi Leader.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mimi Leader will return in Avengers Doomsday. So.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, TV was a really big part of my childhood and being a teenager, and I think in recent years, it's been hard. I think I have less time as an adult.
Yeah.
And so I feel like when it comes to like, I prioritize watching movies, unless I guess like with my wife, usually we have like a TV show or two that we're watching, but I usually try to prioritize watching movies. But like watching a good solid TV show like ER, I think it's given me more. It's reminded me why I watched so much TV as a kid. Like there are
100%.
There are things you can do on TV that you can't do in movies, and I don't think of it as a lesser art form. I think there's less good stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you feel like? I think one of the reasons why I have a harder time with TV nowadays. Do you sort of feel like there's just like there's never-ending movies, but you've kind of seen all the good TV shows?
I feel like that. No, I don't feel like that because there's so many like classic TV shows that everybody loves that I have not watched.
Okay.
I'm still on episode 4 of Justified, by the way. I'm slowly making my way through. But I understand what you mean. There's less to pick from. There is an endless amount of movies. But the thing that frustrates me right now about movies, Paco, I don't know if you feel similarly, is that I really, really dread the feeling of finding a movie now. Like I used to enjoy the hunt for watching a good movie, and now it's becoming a chore. And the idea that I could just turn on another episode of ER is calming to me. That I don't have to do that big, oh, what movie am I like? I like that Criterion does those, curated lists because I don't have to pick. I could just pick one, but that's in a similar way where this is a curated thing. Yeah. So that's how I feel about it. At the moment, I'm maybe entering my TV era.
You've been saying that for 2 years.
Watch this space. Well, I'm watching 2 TV shows, 3 TV shows.
What are you watching?
Primal.
Primal. Oh,
the Tartakovsky. I'm rewatching it in preparation for the new season, which so far there's been 1 episode, so I gotta watch faster. I'm watching The Pit, and I'm watching ER.
Yeah, I guess
so. I watched the first episode of Task. Thought that shit was boring as fuck.
Yeah, I
so boring. What the hell?
I finished Task, but
was it worth it, Paco? Was it worth it?
There's like 2 good episodes in that 6-episode series. But random scenes. Like I could make a 2-episode miniseries. That's really
how I felt
good.
about that guy's last show.
Yeah, Mayor.
Mayor of Easttown, where I was like, this would be a good movie.
Yeah. That's a fucking movie. I mean, that's the issue.
This can't be a movie. ER should not have been a movie. Spielberg would have made a really good movie.
Yeah, it would have been awesome.
But this is a better TV show. This is a better. And then they didn't stretch out 1 movie's worth over 6 episodes.
Yeah,
that is a modern pox on society. That sucks. What you need to do is you need to actually develop it as a TV show, which there are writers and artists who deserve to be paid to be TV writers. And instead of like being treated like they're like long movies where their job is going to be gone after 6 episodes, write them as TV shows.
Yeah. It does feel like, I think one of the issues with TV now, and I think it's been an issue for the past few years, is just like people are getting TV shows, or like showrunners are getting TV shows right after like a novel or a movie or something, and like they don't have the time to like build up to like get used to like the TV format. And like I think
they got to work in the mines.
Yeah, that's why I think like so many of the best TV shows, and I think why like the so-called, to bring it back to like the so-called golden age of television, so many why those were so good is because like their creators were people who worked out in like random TV shows,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Like Matthew Weiner, creator of Mad Men, worked on Becker. And then he wrote a spec script for Mad Men. David Chase thought that was pretty good, so he hired him for The Sopranos, and then he was able to make Mad Men. And now he's disappeared off the face of the earth. But
he's super normal.
Yeah,
as well as the entire cast of ER, super normal.
Yeah, but like you don't have like so many of the best TV shows of the past 2 decades are because there are people who worked in the TV mines. There were TV writers back then, and you got used to the formula. And now there's not. Now no one knows how to write a good TV show or a TV episode.
Yep. Exactly right. Well, I found this to be a very joyous season 1, and I would love to keep watching it. Any final thoughts, Paco? What would you and also what would you rate this?
ER. Yeah, it's really fun. It kind of took me a bit to get used to it. Like I mentioned, I started watching it pretty much as a direct result of liking The Pit. And I think at first I wanted it to be more like The Pit, like more like fast paced and more, not to say this show is obviously very fast paced, but I think they have different styles. And I think as I got used to the characters more, I started like appreciating what this show does differently, and sort of how it's so much a character driven show. And once you start liking the characters, then it's hard not to continue liking the show. And I mean, the fact that it's based in Chicago is awesome. And I like all the Chicago stuff. Out of 4 stars, I'd probably give it 4 stars, kind of like the number of stars who are on the show. Who ended up actually, I feel like who of the actors actually really popped off? Clooney and Wiley.
Edwards is a star, and Margulies is a star.
Yeah, so 4 stars. Justice for Eric LaSalle.
Yeah. And Sherry Stringfield.
Yeah,
my love. I would have to just echo that. I really loved watching this show. Made me very calm. I think these medical shows make me calm. The crazier and nastier they get, the more calm I am. I really like watching a show where people are good at their jobs.
Yeah,
like it's very satisfying. Very satisfying. I find that this show is less corny than other medical shows. I really, really don't have a distaste for like Grey's Anatomy and other shows where they amp up the drama too much. These are just about these people's lives. I'm interested to see where it goes forward, but right now, if I'm just rating season 1, I'm giving it 4 bloops. You know, like on the heart monitor, bloop, 4 bloops, bloop. So that was 3, bloop. That's 4. And that's how I feel about it.
Yes, it's a good show. ER. Are there any shows about people who are bad at their jobs?
There should be.
Because I kind of feel like that would be a good show. Because you said
that would be
you
like someone who's really bad at their job.
Yeah.
Well, I'll think about that. That's a good question. Reno 911.
That's true. That's a really good show.
Yeah.
I guess like that was sort of the point of The Office, but then
we'll talk about that at a different point.
Yeah, when we start our Office rewatch podcast.
That's our Scranton podcast. We'd have to talk about The Paper, right?
Yeah, that's true.
All right. What is he named? Is he named John Carter after John Carter of Mars?
Of Mars? Yeah, I don't know. I wonder.
That's really interesting.
That'd be cool.
I kept thinking about that.
I do. Yeah. Anytime I think of John Carter, I call him Carter because I don't want to think about John.
John Carter.
Yeah. Dr. Rabinovich.
Rate, review, and subscribe.
Yes. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. If you have any comments, complaints, hate mail, questions, if you have any favorite ER episodes or any favorite ER cameos, you can email us at chicagopodfilmcast@gmail.com. You can also find our social media. It's out there. Just, you know how to Google. You'll figure it out.
And I also just want to thank Meara Brady and Caitlyn Johnson for their contributions. Wow, a word that ate me up. Contributions to this episode. Thank you to you both.
Yes, thank you to you both. And thank you, listener, for listening.